Hello and welcome to the Nope Coach podcast. This is episode 369, How to Overcome Inferiority. Oh, that's a hard word for me to say. I'm your host, Suzanne Kohlberg. I remember hearing the quote, the famous Eleanor Roosevelt quote, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And I don't know if you ever hear a quote and you're like, yeah, like it hits, but then something happens and it really lands for you. So just yesterday, I did a YouTube live, Don't Feed the Trolls, how to deal with online criticism and haters. So if you're catching this on YouTube, if you go over to the live tab, you can watch the replay there. If you're listening on audio, if you Google Suzanne Kohlberg YouTube, actually, there's a link to my YouTube in the show notes because I'm getting all modern and fancy and doing show notes now. But I really would love for you to come over, subscribe to me on YouTube. That would make my day. Anyway, I woke up this morning to a quote on that video, well, comment, I should say. I screenshotted it so I can, quote it correctly. It says, "How is your baby going to stay alive if you're not feeding him? Also, I didn't watch Emma's Lazy as Your Eye." And it's a testament to how far I've come that I find that wildly entertaining because first of all, the person's telling me I'm a troll. Well, okay. And they didn't watch. So it's like, why would I take the feed? So, okay. A couple of years ago, this would have taken me out of the game for a couple of weeks, if not months, when I was new in business, a comment like that. First of all, I used to, for a long time, have a lot of like a whole thing about my lazy eye. I know that one of my eyes is lazy. And I did look at one stage, like I shit you not, about having surgery to, like correct it, lift it, whatever. And it was like, but why? I was very inspired by the X-Men movie series. There's a character in X-Men called Mystique who is able to change her appearance so she can look like anyone or anything that she wants to. And her natural appearance is she's all blue. I think she has orange or red hair, and kind of scales. And one of the other X-Men who also looks not not like a human says, "Why don't you change to look like everybody else? Like you have the ability to shapeshift. Why don't you appear like everyone else?" And she's like, "Because I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to get an eyelid lift because my lazy eye makes some people feel like they can tear me down on the internet. We shouldn't have to change anything about our appearance to please others. And why do we feel that we are inferior or less than because there's something different about us or because we don't look like everybody else? How boring, as cliche as it sounds, how boring would life be if we looked and sounded identical? With this day and age of filters and Instagram and angles and optimal angles and looking perfect, we spend so much time and energy trying to look perfect that we lose touch with who we really are. Also, why would I take feedback? Where's this person's name? Mock Top One. Like they're not even using their real name nor their real photo. It is a person, but it's that highly filtered. And it's like, so you're going to go on the internet, talk about my lazy eye, imply that I'm a troll, and I'm using my real photo, unfiltered, and my full name. And I think, it makes me think a whole new appreciation for that Eleanor Roosevelt quote that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Because I don't give a fuck about my lazy eye or somebody who hasn't even watched my content, which they said in their comment. It's like, why we take feedback from people who aren't paying attention? Like there's that quote that Brene Brown uses. I think it's actually from Teddy Roosevelt. So this is the unofficial Roosevelt episode. But, the man in the arena, like, why are we listening to critics and people who are hiding behind a fake name, are hiding behind a fake profile, and aren't even looking, reading, watching, or what you're doing, just scrolling and trolling? And I just think, how different would our lives be if we could be more unapologetically ourselves? And if you want to alter your appearance in any way because that makes you feel better about yourself, as in that's something you desire to do, then you do you. But if you're wanting to alter your appearance because you're wanting to hide from criticism or because you feel inferior, that's something that I would investigate, because once you start down that path, then there's always going to be something to nip, tuck, tweak, change, edit, curate, filter. And me personally, am tired. I'm tired of seeing everything that's unrealistic, unsustainable, not even real because it's so highly filtered and highly curated. Like, people talk about AI generated content and AI this and AI that. And it's like, if you can't be bothered writing it yourself, why the fuck would I want to read it? Like, I have this image in mind of people sending their AI, like, eventually we have the AI that does everything for us. And, we're not actually even making real connections because, this comment too might be totally from a bot. We don't even know. You don't even know when people are commenting on your stuff. Is it a real person, like a keyboard warrior? Or is it just some bot scammer thing on the internet? And, there's so much to say about this, but in terms of, how to overcome inferiority, I got it that time. There's some words that I just struggle to say. And it used to be like, well, I can't put that or I can't say that because, I can't say it right. But I'm sure I'm not the only one who's, tongue twists on these words sometimes. But how you overcome it is, looking at the things that you admire about yourself and asking, do I want to change this for me, or am I wanting to change it for someone else? And if it's because of feedback or comments or whatever, is it feedback from comments who are well-meaning people in your circle who want to see you succeed? Or is it from people who get their kicks trolling on the net, or not even a real person anyway, but a bot? Because imagine how the world would be different if you were just like, this is how I am. This is me. Take it or leave it. And know that there's 8 billion people in this world and some people aren't for you. And that's okay. Next. Yeah, I think there's so much to be said about trying to alter or edit ourselves. And I've spoke about this before a few episodes ago, but, there is different shapes, like, and some are triangles and some are squares and some are rectangles and some are diamonds and some are hectagons, pentagons, hexagons, etc. And us as human beings are different shapes, sizes, makeups, preferences, all this sort of thing. And sometimes in our quest to be like everybody else, we don't even connect with who we are, what we like, what are our preferences. So often when I first start coaching people, working with people, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies, interests? Blank look. They will tell me if they're a mum or not, if they're employed or not, if their job. They'll tell me so much about their life, their categories, their external labels, but who they are, we tend to lose touch with that because we're told to be in a certain way. And one last thing before I wrap up, there was the book Debbie Ford, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. I've done an episode on this before. She speaks about your inner castle. So if I remember, I'll link it in the show notes. Otherwise, scroll back through. I'm sure you'll find it. But she basically talks about how we are born, each of us individually, as an entire castle with rooms and turrets and mazes and connections and links. And it's just this big playground. And you see young children, they don't care what anyone else does, says, thinks. They just unapologetically themselves. And then throughout our lives, we're conditioned, like nobody has that. People think differently about this TV show or this character or this piece of clothing. So we shut parts of ourselves down. We close off rooms, we close off doors, we close off turrets, we close off mazes until eventually we're just like a 2-bit broken down shack in need of repairs. And what I'm super passionate about, the work that I do, first with myself, my clients, and hopefully this podcast and the message is like, who are you? Let's kind of air out some of these cobwebbed up rooms and rediscover them and find the things that you love to do. And sometimes, if you're anything like me, you'd be like, I love this as a kid. And now as an adult, I'm like, what was I thinking? Or it's re-inspired. It's like, oh, yes, I love this about me. So the things that perhaps other people may judge you or make you feel or try to make you feel inferior for, because remember, because nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. What if this is your superpower? I love that I turn up without any makeup, wearing whatever, hair just brushed back, lazy eye and all, because if I can do it, then anyone can do it. And usually when someone says, if I can do it, anyone can do it, I just cringe and die inside. But I think there's a genuineness to be like, just be you, be a talking head on the internet, talk about what lights you up, and be connected to yourself versus putting on a mask and portraying a role that you think other people want to see and hear and feel. Because that shit is exhausting. And there are going to be people who don't like you. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow at times. But I'd sure as shit rather people not like me as the real me than not like the filtered, curated version of me I'll put together because that's what society tells me I should be. It actually hurts more when people don't like the real you because then, if you've put all this effort in, you can blame that. So being unapologetically yourself, being really you, can be like, yeah, it can sting a bit more. But also, sometimes it's just like, as I said, you read a comment, you think, what a clown, next, and then you can go about your merry way because people who get you, they'll get you that even more. And you can build these connections, you can open up the doors to your castle and be unapologetically you. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are watching this on YouTube, please like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. If you're not watching this on YouTube and you're listening somewhere, I do have show notes now. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. And who do you know who needs to hear this message today? Send the link to whichever way you consumed this video or audio to them and say, this is something I thought you would benefit from hearing today because, yeah, being unapologetically you is something that it's a skill that we need to relearn from childhood. And I'm here for it, and I hope you're here for it too. Thanks for listening. Hope to catch you on the next one. Bye for now.